Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we will be discussing a current affair compilation of international relations for the month of June. This video is presented to you by your faculty, Sushma KP. Bear with me up until the end, I have a very bad throat. Okay, now let's get the video started. Like I mentioned, we are doing June month current affair compilation. Now, this video is specifically from your prelims 2025 perspective. Understanding? In this video, what are the contents that we will be looking into? India, a global peacemaker, rise of minilaterals. We will also be looking into your India Bangladesh relationships. We will be seeing about your G7. We will be discussing about your India France relations. We will also be discussing about your India Eurasia relations. We will at the same time be discussing about your India Japan relations. Now, whenever we say India France relations, India Japan relations, we will be dealing it from a holistic view but from prelims perspective. Understanding? And at last, we will be speaking about your nuclear weapons arsenal. One thing in this video is the video is curated specifically for prelims, so we will be seeing many of your multiple choice questions also. Many a times I will try to deliver more content to you on the topic based on your MCQs. All right, let's get the video started. Now, there is this information from Legacy IAS like we are doing now. The current affair compilation is present for all the subjects for your prelims 2025. Do check that out, as well as we have Impact 2025 for your mains answer writing. The link for both of these is present in the description box below. Do check that out. All right, now coming back to the video, let's get started with the first topic. The first topic is India as a global peacemaker. Right? Now, why exactly are we calling India is on the path to become the global peacemaker? First and foremost, understand. Now, when we say India as a peacemaker, it is not for your South Asian countries alone. It is for your European countries, it's for your Central Asian countries, it is for your South American countries, it's for African countries, it's for East Asian countries. Now, in this perspective, we will be speaking about your Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine. Now, these are full fledged wars that are going on: Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine. But there are also other situations in the global scenario where the heat is very raised up. Meaning, what? There is a conflict, or in simpler words, there is an elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. Now, for that, all the countries are looking at India for a solution, or at least they want to take India to assume the lead to solve the issue. One such is, for example, your Iran. With regard to your US pulling out of your Iran's nuclear deal, at the same point of time, India has maintained a neutrality. This is one of the criticisms that's coming, that if you want to become a global leader, you have to take a stance. And see, in this case also, on a summit on a peace in Ukraine, India abstained from signing the joint communique released at the statement, that is, at the summit. Now, if India wants to become a global leader, at the same point of time, if India wants to become a global peacemaker, people are pointing out that it is being too neutral. But what India has claimed, especially in your recent US visit of Indian Prime Minister to USA, where he has held that, see, many a times he has even addressed this issue. Many a times countries are claiming that India is becoming neutral. It is on an inactive side. No, we are on the path to peace summit, which means we need a position to tell that bring both the parties to the negotiation table, and only there you can achieve the peace, not in the battlefield. So in all of these issues, especially when your Iran's important minister were also shot, and now they want India's interference in Iran specifically asked for India's interference in trying to deal with USA. Understanding? So these kind of situations has elevated the position of India to a global peacemaker. Now we cannot claim anything to be a 100% truth. 100% it is doing effective. No international organization, no international power play, no international hegemon is even doing 100% effective work. Similarly, India also has many of the criticisms associated, stating that, for example, for India to become a global peacemaker, it means it has to be unbiased. But if you see its recent association with things such as your Quad, which is somewhere looking like it is, not somewhere looking like it is countering your China. So this is somewhere happening to be a water washing, or somewhere it is diluting India's role as a global peacemaker. And second thing is, if you see with respect to the established diplomacy level, your USA, UK, they have a good established diplomacy over the years. But in India, it is still in the limited stage. Yes, India is one of the biggest soft power countries. It's doing a very good job, but it is still not yet full fledged and established. Okay, so these are all the challenges that we have towards reaching the global peacemaker. What are some of the things that we are claiming that India is a global peacemaker? Just have a look at this for a moment. See, the first thing, India is the voice of global south. First and foremost, the question arises, what is global south? See, understand global south doesn't mean the southern hemisphere countries. Australia is the most southern hemisphere country, but it is not a global south. Global south means countries whose economies are developing, or least developed countries, or otherwise, especially with your India and China fall into this tag. Emerging economies. Now, your India tries to play as the leader of global south, or the voice of global south, who has to be very much essential in all of the group meeting, multilaterals, minilaterals, especially if it deals with global south. Okay, your non-alignment movement was one such thing where, now if you see during your post Second World War period, the country was bipolar, the world was bipolar, right? Now for the just newly formed nations, the countries which just got independence, it was very unwise to join either of the polarities. So at that point of time, your NAM, especially the largest and one of the biggest founding members, India, alongside other countries, it was starting a Bandung Conference, 1961. So this was very much important role that India played at that point of time when the world was torn between bipolarity in your Cold War era. So these are all the things that elevated, that is, accelerated the position of India to a global peacemaker. Conflict resolution experience, for example, if you see how it tries to deal with an internal issue. Now you say, recently this issue had come up where your United Nations had name called India, telling that there is lot of human right violation with your Jammu. At least they call Jammu without calling it Jammu and Kashmir. And with respect to your Manipur unrest, India has been actively trying to deal with these issues alongside solve the disputes on international level also. That is, it is trying to play, especially when your Russia-Ukraine war broke out. India was the one country that tried to broker peace by meeting with both the head of the leaders. So that is the position India wields. Then it is a growing influence in your emerging global order, especially with the launch of your many of your minilaterals, like being a part of your BRICS, IBSA, right? So a lot of these kind of things India wields its power. Cultural diplomacy, India is very much known for its soft power diplomacy also, where we use our heritage, we have heritage circuits. Yes, so our tourism is coupled with understanding our heritage, culture, etc., showcasing it. For example, we have International Yoga Day, Year of Millets. Now, when we are portraying this millets, we are portraying it for something that has to be a solution for your climate change also. and also with regard to your nutrition, health benefits. Yes, so we are trying to use our diplomatic power this way also. Another thing is our multi alignment. We're not just trying to focus to be part of any of the blocks, not just align with the West, but also actively engage with the entire world. Understanding? So, all these are the ones which portray India as a global peacemaker. Another thing is, if you see, India is one of the biggest and largest countries which now sends troops here, UN peacekeeping. Few things, if you have to remember here, look at this. India is the first country to deploy all women contingent in 2007 for United Nations mission in Liberia. Another thing is, look at this. Indian armed forces is deployed across 9 countries in missions like UN disengagement observer force, UN interim force in Lebanon. Okay, look at this. Indian Army established a center for UN peacekeeping in New Delhi. So these are the important things that you have to be knowing. If you see, when we say global peacemaker, because we have our Indian roots portrayed into international relation. What do I mean? Our common philosophy is Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which means the world is my house. We have tried to dissolve disputes between your Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Iran, where India is an active player trying to make sure. Here when we say Afghanistan, presently it is Taliban controlled. Despite that, whether we have good relationship with Taliban or not, but we have been sending humanitarian aid to your Afghanistan, especially in the form of your wheat, vaccines during your COVID pandemic period of time, especially in supplying of vaccines. India played a major proactive role. Your World Trade Organization, your World Health Organization are now facing a lot of conflicts, disputes, in not being able to completely do what they were meant for, but countries like India are picking up the slack. You see, with regard to your peacekeeping missions, this is what we discussed in the earlier slide also. India's role as Vishwa Bandhu, again, a world friend. India is now and no longer a country that your majority powers can ignore. If you need a strong power, then it has to be India, and especially not just from a South Asian bloc or a Asian bloc, but also as a country which is a voice or an emerging leader for your global South. Another thing you have to know about is your Manama Declaration, because from prelims perspective, you have to know this. What is Manama Declaration? This is adopted by your Arab League, which asks for your proper, effective implementation of two-state solutions, and they want UN peacekeeping forces to play an active role in this. This is told by your Arab League. Okay, that is your Manama Declaration. Now we will see some of the questions based on these topics, which will be useful for you from prelims perspective. Which of the following countries was not a founding member of the non-alignment movement? India, Egypt, Yugoslavia, Brazil. The correct answer is Brazil. Rest all were the members of your NAM. Brazil, even though later became a part of NAM, wanted to be involved into NAM, but it was not a founding member. What was the main objective of non-alignment movement during the Cold War era? To promote economic cooperation among member states, to provide military aid to member states, to maintain independence and sovereignty in the face of superpower rivalry, to promote cultural exchange among member states. The whole point NAM was set up, like we discussed, was to make sure to protect the sovereignty of the new formed independent nations during your bipolar world, or where it was in a Cold War period. The correct answer is to maintain independence and sovereignty in the face of superpower rivalry. Because which of the following NAM Summit Conference place pairs is not correctly matched? Sixth is Kahira, fourth is Algiers, seventh is New Delhi, third is Lusaka. Correct answer is sixth Kahira. The sixth summit NAM was not in Kahira, but it was in Havana. Okay, the Havana summit of NAM is considered very important because this is where a lot of issues started coming with respect to, let's say, your Yugoslavia, Cuba, and where many of the NAM members wanted to be aligned towards the, that is your left, that is your east, more towards your socialist blocs. In the fear of, each one had their own personal reasons as to why they wanted to move towards that side. For example, Cuba had the fear of your USA taking over Yugoslavia over the east. So each of these countries were trying to sway. This is when you can see our president, our prime minister, that is Nehru, speaking that. See, you cannot have one foot in one door and another foot in another door and expect to move forward. So basically, trying to bring in the consensus in the NAM as to what was the main reason or what was the purpose of NAM was enlisted in your Havana summit of NAM. That is the sixth summit. So this is the importance of that. Which of the following factors led to the formation of NAM? Struggling against imperialism and new colonialism, division of world powers into two blocks, formation of collective ideology which could be an alternative to Cold War, to protect sovereignty and maintain non intervention in newly independent nations. The correct answer is all four. Like I mentioned, the whole point that I'm trying to give you, this will have a more way of giving more content to you in the form of MCQs. Next question. Which of the above statements are correct about the current status of non alignment movement? NAM has become irrelevant in the post Cold War era. NAM has been replaced by the BRICS grouping. NAM continues to be an important platform for developing countries to promote their interests. NAM has been disbanded due to lack of funding. See, NAM, despite, however, you claim, see, 2016, one of our head of state of India did not attend NAM meeting. Now more than ever, NAM relevance, yes, we ourselves are trying to be aligned with your West. There is a criticism that India is no longer becoming the global peace player, etc. No matter the fact that now the world is grouping, China is very aggressively trying to group to counter the Quad, to counter the West. Despite all this, if you see, the purpose of NAM today becomes more relevant than ever before. So you can never tell NAM has become irrelevant or it has been replaced, but NAM continues to be an important platform for developing countries to promote their interest as well as maintain their sovereignty without the external influence. Because right now in a globalized world, the sovereignty is being affected not just by your physical acquisition of territories, but through your trade wars, trade tariffs. Then that is very much evident right now, how USA is imposing tariffs and how the countries are countering with tariffs. So there is more than one way where you can imperialize the other state interests. Many countries now are crying for a place, an opportunity, a organization, or a lateral grouping which will be non-globalization. Understanding? The next topic, because we are on the same topic, it is a rise of minilaterals. The Quad has come into picture. Now you all know about Quad. Quad is a grouping of your India, USA, Japan, Australia. Like that, we have something called as Squad. This Quad is again to counter your China and Chinese aggression in your Asia Pacific region, especially your South China Sea regions. So, who are the member countries of your Squad? USA, Australia, Japan, Philippines. Same Quad ka members, but India is not there. Instead, Philippines is there. Understanding? This is more specifically to counter your aggressive China policies in your Asia Pacific regions and more specifically your South China Sea. Okay, and as a counter to this, China has also started with a lot of policies. For example, China has started aligning itself with China, Pakistan, Russia. So what China is trying to do is, when they are starting quad, AUKUS, quad, US Philippines Japan trilateral, UN Japan South Korea trilateral, China is trying to counter back with more of such alliances, so much so that nowadays your China is taking a U-turn, especially after your 16th BRICS summit in Kazan. China has even held that we should not dance to the tunes of West, but rather they should be a dance of the elephant and the dragon together. That is, China is even claiming that India and China should broker or develop a good bilateral engagement rather than dancing to the tunes of your West. Because this is your quad: India, Australia, USA, Japan. This is your AUKUS. AUKUS is Australia, UK, and US. Again, trying to counter your China. Now, this minilaterals. Look at the name. Rise of minilaterals. What does minilaterals mean? It is a small grouping of member states, more of like 3 to 4 states. They are more effective, more consensus related, and they will be effectively trying to reach a solution, and they have a clear cut idea as to why they are formed. For example, if you see quad or squad or AUKUS, they have one clear set of limitations. It's not too much all over the place or not a little bit of everything. Clear cut, crisp ideologies, so they can counter it to be more faster now compared to your United Nations, which is big, which is having every member country. But if you see the outcome of it, it's really more of tiresome, long, always vetoed. Someone or the other will have issues. So, which means what, the bargaining power is also very less there, and at the point of time you reach a consensus very late. So compared to that, this minilaterals are rising, and also your WTO, WHO, UN, all this criticism of failing to be effective in the urgent moment of need has led to the rise of minilaterals. Failure of multilateral institutions, like we spoke, heightening great power rivalry, dysfunctional WTO system, balance of power, and especially your COVID pandemic ka later though, when people relied on your multilateral institutions and they failed to perform well, this minilaterals took up the role very better. Especially among your developing countries, so this has become very good, if you can see, with respect to your BRICS. Okay. And another place where we can see your majority failed, or which has led to the rise of your minilaterals, is during your South China Sea conflict. ASEAN members failed to comment or failed to criticize or failed to put China in a position for its violation of South China Sea. Yeah. Another issue with your multilateral institution, or which has led to the rise of minilaterals, is increasing protectionist tendency. The countries, the so-called minilateral organizations, the so-called world global powers, the so-called hegemons themselves are becoming extremely protectionist. Make America great again, bring tariff policies if it is against USA's policies. Now, on various occasions, you have seen USA criticizing India for its tariff policy, which has forced India. Now, if you see 2024 2025 budget, India has considerably reduced its tariffs. In a way, US is trying to force, yeah, India. So like this, it has forced its imposition, sanctions, etc., with respect to your other countries which are not aligning with the interests of USA. For example, India slapped tariffs on your China, Canada, Mexico. Now, their largest trading partners. Okay, so the same is expected to India also. You cannot expect that yes, they are the multilateral institution or the global hegemon, means they will be fair. They will act like a global leader. No, now it is more than globalization, it has become protectionist. So everyone is going against globalization. They're telling globalization is not working out. Look at this coincidence or quid pro quo after Donald Trump says he'll buy Tesla, which means more importance is given to their own countries, their own economies, rather than what they claimed as rule based order that we are going to create post your Second World War. Trump's erratic policy is harming the reputation of American assets. Understanding? Now, what are some of the minilaterals for India? Quad partnership, and India is considered as the voice of global south. IBSA, India, Brazil, South Africa. We also have one IBSA fund. And your Australia, France, and India trilateral. India, Iran, Armenia trilateral. China has constantly categorized Quad as an Asian NATO, whereas our external affairs minister Yes Jaishankar has held that we have heard this criticism, but it is nowhere nearby or closer to NATO. We'll look at some of the questions. Which of the following minilateral organization is focused on promoting economic cooperation and regional integration in the Asia Pacific region? BRICS, IBSA, Quad, ASEAN plus 3. The correct answer is D, ASEAN plus 3, or your free trade agreement with the three members. Okay. Which of the following statements is correct about the Quad? It is a security alliance aimed at countering China's growing influence in the Indo Pacific region. It is a trade bloc aimed at promoting economic cooperation among its member states. It is a grouping of countries focused on promoting democracy and human rights in Asia Pacific. It is a regional organization aimed at promoting cooperation on issues such as terrorism and piracy. The correct answer is Security Alliance aimed at countering China's growing influence in the Indo Pacific region. Which of the following statements is correct about your IBSA? India, Brazil, South Africa. It is a trade bloc aimed at promoting economic cooperation among its member states. Security alliance aimed at countering terrorism and piracy in the Indian Ocean region. Grouping of countries focused on promoting democracy, human rights in developing world. It is a forum for cooperation on issues such as climate change, sustainable development, and social justice. Previously, I mentioned about IBSA, but I didn't explain about your IBSA. Now, your IBSA is simple. Here, the correct answer is D. We are dealing with a wide range of global issues, which is affecting all three of them together. That is your Brazil, South Africa, and India. Okay. The next topic that we will be discussing about is your India Bangladesh relations. If you see your India Bangladesh, one thing is we are having a very large boundary sharing between your India and Bangladesh, so much of 4,000 odd kilometers we share with Bangladesh. We also have a large bit of history, that is before it was your East Pakistan, before that it was a part of India. Yes. So one thing, if you have to see things again specifically from prelims perspective, you just have to know these. We have started India Bangladesh digital partnership. Now Bangladesh ka issues to where there is a change of government, there is an interim government headed by Muhammad Yunus. We also had good relationship with the previous prime minister of your Bangladesh, that is your Sheikh Hasina. Present government, that is in your interim government, we are yet to decide as to what our relationship is going to be with Bangladesh. But apart from that, when the prime minister had visited, that is the Bangladesh prime minister had visited India, we did have good bilateral agreements. We had India Bangladesh digital partnership, we have India Bangladesh green partnership, and our bilateral trade is about a 14.1 billion. We have maritime cooperation, blue economy, oceanography, and also Bangladesh is India's largest trading partner in South Asia. Okay, whereas for Bangladesh, India is the second largest trading partner in South Asia, but whereas for India, it is the largest trading partner in South Asia. That is one thing you have to remember. The military exercises, like I said, this is specifically from your prelims perspective. We have military exercises like Samprati and Milan. We have had a good way of resolving disputes between India and Bangladesh, like how we resolve our land boundary agreement issue. That is, we can see it with respect to your exchange of enclaves, delimitation of maritime boundary. We are also part of mutually, that is, both India and Bangladesh are a part of SARC, BIMSTEC, BBI, and IORA, Indian Ocean Region Association. Your BIMSTEC is Bay of Bengal, ka BBIN is your Bhutan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal. Look at this. One main thing is our protocol on inland waterways trade and transit, especially between your India and Bangladesh. Okay, we have national waterways, two national waterways, one. So these are important things that are on the path for India and Bangladesh. We also have agreed for the usage of Chittagong and Mongolia ports. But at the same point of time, we have good amount of relationship. Now presently our difficulties are there with respect to your present government, that is your interim government. We have good relationship, especially during your COVID pandemic time, distribution of COVID vaccines in the name of your vaccine. Maitri, we are a part of your neighborhood first policy, Act East Asia policy, Vision, Sagar, Indo-Pacific Vision. We also have cross-border rail link. Yes, all of the good things we have, but at the same point of time, we also have huge amount of issues that we also, or certain specific set of challenges that we have with your India Bangladesh. One such is a growing influence of China on Bangladesh. Another thing is we are not able to reach a proper consensus on your Tista water agreement. Okay, and look at this, China Bangladesh Golden Friendship 2024. Your Rohingya ka is your Myanmar ka issue, but again Bangladesh ka, the way they treat the minorities, again how it is having impact with India. For example, your West Bengal has medical tourism, etc., set up on the borders so that they can help out. But now with the issues that have started, for example, recently how Indians were treated in Bangladesh, doctors in West Bengal have told that no, we will not treat them. They're not treating our people better. How do you want us to treat them? So what happened? China leaped in to take this opportunity to telling that okay, we will develop hospitals for you. We will develop hospitals with 1,000 bed facilities. So the straining relationship between India and Bangladesh is exploited by China and trying to fill in the gaps. Understanding? Now, if you see some of the bilateral relationships, now you can see in space diplomacy, we have joint development of small satellites. We are also partners in digital public infrastructure, especially between your National Payments Corporation of India. Our thing you have to know, films perspective. Maitri Super Thermal Power Plant. We also have India Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline, wherein high transport of your diesel to Bangladesh is there. Okay, these are important things that you have to focus from prelims perspective. Next, look at this. We have a shared vision of connectivity, commerce, and collaborations, which are on terms with Vikshit Bharat of 2047 of India. That is, India will become a developed nation by 2047, and Smart Bangladesh vision by 2041. Both of these are in align, and we have to resolve our challenges accordingly. Let's look at some of the questions. What is the name of joint military exercise conducted by India and Bangladesh to enhance synergy between their forces? Sampriti, Mitra Shakti, Yudhabhyas hand in hand. The correct answer is Sampriti. It is between India, Bangladesh. Mitra Shakti is again between your India, Sri Lanka. Yudh Abhyas is between your India, USA. Hand in hand is again between your India and China. Okay. Now these are very important from your prelims perspective. Time and again we have seen this coming in the prelims question. So I have formed a collective of these. Okay, military engagements later down in the slides. I will show it to you. You can either take a screenshot of that or write down important things which you feel are important. I will tell you also, but otherwise you can write it down or take a screenshot of this. What is the name of the pipeline that supplies diesel from India to Bangladesh? We just saw in the last slide. Bangladesh India Friendship Pipeline. This is the correct answer. Not Indo Bangladesh, not South Asian, not Transasian. It is India Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline. The next topic that we will be looking into today's course of video is G7 member countries. The G7 members are your excuse me. Now, India participated in the 50th G7 summit. One thing understand where India is not a member of G7. But up until now, India has been invited for your G summit, like outreach country, for over 11 times. Understanding? The member countries of your G7 are, look at this, these are the member countries of your G7. Okay. Your EU is not a G7 member country. Constantly, this is used as to confuse you in your prelims question. Russia eventually joined in G7 and it became G8. But during your 2014 Russian annexation of Crimea, your Russia was cancelled or taken away from your G8 grouping and it went back to become your G7 grouping. Okay, Russia was initially part of it. Later, it was removed because of annexation of Crimea. Now, if you see what about your G7 countries, they have 40% of the global economy and 10% of the world population reside in your G7 countries. They have 36% of your global power generation capacity and 30% of global energy demands. They also have 25% of global energy related to carbon dioxide emissions. These are important for your statement kind of questions, so I suggest you have a look into these. What are the key achievements in 2002? They played a crucial role in setting up a global fund for malaria and AIDS. 2009 La Aquila Food Security Initiative. 2021 Build Back a Better World. 2022 they announced partnership in global infrastructure and investment. So these are some of the initiatives. Now one thing when we have to speak about your G7, look at this Global Apollo program, which is for your clean energy initiative, and they also have tried to deal on major issues with. To be more specific, if I have to tell you what is G7, they are an informal grouping of countries which try to deal the global issues. One such global issue at that point of time was your tax avoidance. So they try to take up the issue in your base erosion and profit sharing. And also, they are the ones who tell that they are based on rules based order kind of world they are trying to create. And at the same point of time, they want to create an international order based on peace and progress rather than chaos. At least they claim that in theory and in words. What is India's participation with respect to G Summit? India has a growing economy and military power, which makes it very much important to include India. At the same point of time, India is one of the strongest proponents with regard to considered as voice of your global south. Let's look at some of the options. Which of the following countries is not a member of G7? Canada, France, China, Japan. Correct answer is China. China is not a member of G7. Which of the following statements is correct about G7? Formal international organization with a permanent secretariat. Informal grouping of countries that meet annually to discuss global issues. Regional organization focused on promoting economic cooperation in Europe. Global organization that represents the interests of all countries. The correct answer is it is an informal grouping of countries that meet annually to discuss global issues, and also the presidentship changes annually every year among the member countries. Next, we will be discussing about your India France relations, our very old friend. Look at this. Horizon 2047 roadmap, Indo Pacific roadmap, wherein we have a common linkages between your India and France with their shared vision for peace, progress, growth, and harmony. Understanding? If we see what are the important factors of your Indo-Pacific roadmap, we have India's Sagar vision, that is your Indo-Pacific alignment. We also have security coordination with respect to your EMASOH, IOR, that is Indian Ocean region, and also we are trying to strengthen the plurilateral agreements, that is more than multiple member countries trying to come together, which French as a main player in the game. Okay, and look at this. We also have partnership for the planet with your India and France. When we say partnership for the planet, this also means partnership for the people, development of the planet as well as people. When we say that we have Solar Alliance, one of the largest alliance that was started with your India and France. We also have India Pacific Parks. We also have Indo Pacific Oceans. We have the partnership agreement on migration and mobility with regard to your people. And with respect to your defense also, we have huge amount of associations with your France. For example, we have association with your nuclear attack submarine development, where France has expressed interest. We also buy Rafale jets from them. If at all India wants to develop your nuclear submarines of attack facilities, then France is our best bet. Let's look at some of the questions. Which of the following is a significant aspect of India France defense cooperation? Joint development of nuclear powered submarines, co production of Rafale jets, regular joint military exercise in Indian Ocean region, all of the above. The correct answer is all of the above. Okay, India and defense have good military ties, defense ties. What is the name of joint naval exercise conducted by India and France? Varuna Shakti Garuda exercise Malabar. Shakti is also exercise conducted by India and France, but they are asking naval exercise between India and France. So correct answer is Varuna. I have compiled a list of exercises which will be useful for you. I will just read out few important ones. For example, India and Bangladesh is Sampriti. Okay, I've even segregated it as to is it Army, Navy, or Air Force. Okay, now Shakti is India and Air Force, but it is Army ka. They asked the question previous for the Navy. Navy is Varuna, Air Force is Garuda. For example, India and Japan is Dharma Guardian. India and Indonesia Army is Garuda Shakti. Next, look at this. India and Army is Equivarian. India and Mongolia is Nomadic Elephant. India and Nepal Army Surya Kiran. India and Russia Army Indira. Look at this. India and Sri Lanka Army Mitra Shakti. Navy is Linux. India and Thailand Army is Maitri. India and UK, your Air Force is Indradhanush. India and USA Army is Yuddhabhyas. Now we will look into few of the multilateral military exercises that India was a part of your Malabar, India, USA, Japan, your Samvedna, that is your South Asian regions, nations. So these are all important things. You can take a screenshot of this. Next, Indian Air Force exercises, Garuda, that is between your India and France. Okay, your red flag between India and USA. Desert Night 21, India and France. And you can take a screenshot of this. Is your Indian Army exercises hand in hand India China, Hanjar India Kyrgyzstan. So just take a screenshot and just you don't have to buy hard, but just you can have an idea. Okay. Next on our topic is India Eurasia. If you see your Eurasian region, it is a hotbed of conflicts, it is seen. Why? For example, we have Russia Ukraine conflict, Armenia Azerbaijan conflict, Belt and Road Initiative of China. See, here it is in such a manner that your Europe and Asia has become into such an issue where trying to counteract, see, it is a new version of Cold War that they are playing, or they are trying to enter into the trade war. Yes, we had World War One, World War Two, Cold War, but one accelerated stage that now we are trying to play is the trade war. In this trade war era, the thing that is getting suffering, or the region of India, or the region of the world to be more specific, is your Europe and Asian regions, where everyone wants to have a stake to make sure that their particular protectionist interests are mattered and made sure that they realize that this is somewhere contradictory to the free world liberalization globalization. Now look at this. China and Russia have started no limits partnership to counter your West. That is to counter US interests such as your Quad, Squad, AUKUS. Okay, and for this, your Russia is also trying to join with China and Pakistan to counter your USA. Because this Russia, Iran, China axis, China, Iran, Russia, Turkey, Pakistan axis. We told this specifically from prelims perspective, right? So main thing you have to see is your green grids initiative, okay, with respect to your energy sector, cooperation in the Arctic region, peace building in Afghanistan, sharing of niche technology in quantum technology. So these are all the kind of things that your Eurasian place is trying to do. India Japan relations are one of the oldest and most strongest ally. India and Japan have celebrated special strategic and global partnership. We also have supply chain resilience initiative to make sure to counter China's influence in your Indo-Pacific region, and also both of them are part of many of the minilateral organizations such as your Quad to counter China's presence and to counter China's aggressive domination. We also started your China's free and open Indo-Pacific, which is on the same lines of your India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative. So we see eye on eye in many of things. And another thing is both of us have good invested opportunities in Asia Africa growth corridor. Japan is one of our very important neighbors with respect to our Act East Asia policy, and it is very much directed towards your Japan. We have military exercises such as your Dharma Guardian. Okay, so we have very good dealing and more of a good bilateral relationship with Japan. At the same point of time, we are also part of. They are also part of our foreign diplomacy. Now, if you see what are some of the things that we are trying to work on, India Japan Clean Energy Partnership, India Japan Agreement for Cooperation in the Piece of your nuclear energy. That is one of the very important things that was started by Japan. But again, it is still facing a lot of roadblocks. We are having issues with respect to automatic suspension or automatic termination of agreement. If that is solved, then we will have come a very big mile with regard to your nuclear power for civilian consumption. We are part of Quad, G20, G4. Thing is, your ISRA and your JAXA are working on joint lunar project exploration mission. So India and Japan have established a really good relationship with each other. That has been very good for us from your post Second World War period. The last topic that we will be seeing is your nuclear weapons arsenal. That is culmination of both Russia and USA put together hold 90% of the weapons. This with respect to your nuclear fission bomb, just you will see how and what elements are used. uranium 235 is used. Okay, just have a look at this and say this is a fission and this is a fusion bomb. Okay, just changes in how, okay, the materials are used, what are the changes, what are the differences, that you have to know from prelims perspective. Okay, we've reached the end of the video. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and share it along with your friends. Thank you.